Dale Desmond, Captain, United States Air Force, graduate of the Air Force Academy.
My name is Gary Rafferty. I was PFC. I served in Vietnam from May 70 until April of 71. I was with headquarters and later with Alpha Battery of 2nd Battalion, 94th Artillery. Served in the Northern I Corps, DMZ area, and we supported the Laos incursion.
Phil Morris, Jr., Captain, U.S. Air Force, 5 years of active duty. I was in the 621st Tactical Control Squadron, stationed in Thailand in 1968 for 1 whole year.
My name is Dave Schmidt, Sergeant, U.S. Air Force. I served in Vietnam from July 1967, February 1968, in photo reconnaissance with the 460th TAC Recon Wing.
I'm Tom Mangon, and I flew B-66s, but I had some real good buddies, one of whom I spent 18 months with in navigator school. He beat me out by 9/10 of a point for the only F4 that my class got. 6 weeks after he got over to Vietnam, and about 2 weeks after I got over there. I read the intelligence reports, and I followed them down to like the tooth and nail. They'd been hit. A Navy destroyer had seen the F4 inverted hit into the Gulf, and those people were listed as missing. No chutes, no beepers, F4 inverted into the Gulf. John's not missing, John's dead. One of John's classmates from the Air Force Academy had to go over to Germany to see his wife, to tell his wife that John was dead.
As a pilot, you feel safe in a plane, or at least I always did. There's a certain amount of false safety in being surrounded by your aircraft, so you don't feel as directly threatened, even though the anti-aircraft may be going up all around you, as a ground troop does. And you live in a false world too. I mean, it's one in which you live on numbers. You live on what you put down on paper, what you report back. That tree that went up and that caught fire becomes your secondary explosion, and you have to believe it. You dropped your bombs on an imaginary target, but it becomes more or less real because you reported it and put it on paper. But you don't kill people. I'm supposedly responsible for some deaths myself, but it took me a long time to feel it at all. And even now, I don't feel that I killed anyone. Really deep down in my guts.
My first 3 months I was in Vietnam, I was in a place called Dong Ha Combat Base, which was about 10 miles from the Z. And we were quite removed from the war. I was at battalion headquarters. And we had a battalion fire direction center where it was a big white bunker and had air conditioning so that the computer wouldn't break so much. They didn't care if we died of heat exhaustion. They just didn't want the computer to break. And it was a white bunker, and it was really insane because we'd be sitting in a bunker plotting fire data for pages and pages of grids that we'd get from higher up. And, and it would seem like it was very removed, you had coffee and all kinds of things and you could relax. And, it was really insane because when you stop to think about it, you were killing people, but you never saw the blood.
In March of 1968, the message came down to us that a TACAN, a radio navigation system, and a portable radar site in a place called Phu Phi Thai, which is near the Laotian North Vietnamese border, had been overrun by Pathet Lao or Viet Cong troops. Now this radar station was manned by 21 American servicemen, mostly Air Force, administratively under the control of the 621st TAC Control Squadron out of Udorn itself, Udorn being in Thailand. However, these Americans were classified as air attachés out of Vientiane and carried no weapons. They were guarded by the Royal Laotian Army. Their main job, of course, was to monitor the radio frequencies, to give assistance, if possible, to flights coming off of North Vietnam, and also to maintain the navigational equipment at that site. In March of 1968, that's the same month that the occurrences at My Lai took place, this station was attacked by enemy forces, and an attempt was made to air evac the Americans and Laotians out. We were only able to evacuate 7 Americans from this small station. The other 14 were classified as missing in action. However, the story doesn't really end there because, as I found out when I trained with the F-105 outfit at Carat Royalty Air Force Base, a great quantity of our fighter bombers went in the day later and completely leveled this former station. The real purpose, of course, was to prevent the equipment from falling into the enemy hands. But the thought occurs to me and to many of the people who witnessed this, what had happened to the Americans and Laotians who were at that station? No attempt was made to rescue them. Rather, had they still been there, they would have been destroyed by the bombing.
On one of the raids in Laos on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, our wonderful technology broke down. This was the end of October 1967, and the planes missed the trail by 1 mile and wiped out a Laotian village and left nothing standing. In November of 1967, the technology broke down again. It was decided to bomb out the bridge over the Red River just south of Hanoi, stop the traffic coming down to Dong Ha and then going onto the Ho Chi Minh Trail and coming into South Vietnam. To achieve this, a flight of F-4Cs was sent in with full bomb loads. When we sent in our birds, planes, to take pictures of it, and the pictures were developed and the information read off it, nothing had hit the bridge. And instead of the bridge, the civilian areas on each side of the river were leveled. Since we had missed the bridge, another flight was sent in, another mission was ordered. When the pictures were evaluated, nothing had been hit. Just the civilian areas again. The fourth time that we sent in a full complement of 4 Cs to blow this bridge up, one bomb hit the center span. Everything else on all 4 flights had hit civilian population areas. This goes on all the time. I would say that in the evaluation that we did in the 7 months that we worked on, that I worked personally on film over in Vietnam, that if we had an accurate strike out of 15 tries, then the people should be complimented, because that was how lousy it was. And the problem that we all have to realize is that no matter how clean it is dropping a bomb from a plane, whether it be a 52 at 50,000 feet or an A6 at 500 feet, that when you get on the other end, it's people. And it's children. We were talking a little bit about responsibility when Dan Ellsberg was here. Being part of a machine like the Air Force and reconnaissance, where all you do is work processing film and evaluating what that film shows, having no contact at all with where those pictures were taken, the pilots having no contact at all, they fly over and an automatic system takes the pictures. It's not until I saw a napalm strike in person that I felt there was anything going on, much less anything wrong.